Production of the famous Tiger tank began in August of 1942 at the Henschel und Sohn or Henschel and Son factory in Kassel. Henschel und Sohn was best known during the 20th century as a maker of transportation equipment, armored fighting vehicles, and other weapons. Georg Christian Karl Henschel founded the factory in 1810, and his son Karl Anton Henschel continued his work from 1837. Early in 1935, Henschel began manufacturing tanks, and a few years later, in 1939, it began large-scale production. Henschel was the sole manufacturer of the Tiger I tank and alongside Porsche the Tiger II. In 1945, the company had 8,000 workers working in two shifts, each of 12 hours, and forced labor was used extensively. Henschel comprised of three general engineering works in and around the city of Kassel. Werk 1 was devoted to locomotive assembly, Werk 2 consisted of other locomotive component shops, and Werk 3 was primarily devoted to tank assembly and component manufacture. Werk 3 was situated on both sides of a railway line running north and south. Looking north, those buildings on the left side on the railway line were used for manufacturing locomotive components and truck and engine repair. The main storage area for tank components was also on the left side of the track, including sheds that held Tiger hulls and turrets. On the other side of the track were four main shops numbered 1, 2, 3 and 5. The Tiger tank manufacturing took place in shops number 3 and 5. The manufacturing process known as the takt system was used in the assembly shops. This system relies on a timed rhythm for each step in the manufacturing process, and there were altogether 9 steps used in manufacturing one Tiger tank. In factory photos, you will often see signs on the shop wall denoting which step is being performed in that specific location. Each step took approximately 6 hours, and the total time to complete one Tiger tank was estimated to be 14 days. An average of 22 tanks were carried at one time in the hull assembly line, and approximately 10 tanks were carried in the final assembly line. The first 4 steps revolved around hull machining and preparation. Henschel did not have the capability to weld or bend the massive heavy armor plates used in the Tiger and actually received the raw hulls and turrets from other companies. These raw hulls were manufactured by 2 firms, Krupp and Dortmund Hüttenverein. The turrets were manufactured by Wegmann, which was also located in the city of Kassel. These hull processing steps all took place in shop number 3. Step 1 in manufacturing a Tiger involved receiving the raw hulls by rail. They arrived as a welded unit with the holes only roughly bored in for things such as suspension arms, rear idlers, final drives, hull visors, and MG mount. Simply unloading and moving these massive armor units was a major task in itself. In step 2, the hull was precisely aligned on the rigid concrete bed. Then the holes in the hull sides for the suspension arms were finished bored by 6-spindle horizontal borer. The hull was then transported to 4-spindle borer, which finished the holes for the final drives and idler arms in step 3. For the next step, step number 4, the hull was transported to a vertical level and again had to be precisely aligned for manufacturing of the turret race on the top plate. At the same time, the hull sides were milled to receive the final drive casings. At this point, hull machining was complete and the hull was transported to the shop number 5 finishing line. In step 5, many items were fitted, such as suspension assemblies, the engine and transmission, and various internal equipment. Because the Henschel factory at Kassel was an important target, it was repeatedly attacked from the air. The bombardment of Kassel was a dangerous operation for the bomber crews as well. For example, they suffered heavy losses during the night of the 27th of August 1942. More than 10% of the bomber force, 31 aircraft, were lost that night. Widespread damage was caused, although reports also stated that many bombs fell outside the town in fields and woods. During the remainder of the war, Kassel was repeatedly attacked by the Allied air forces. It would take more than a year before Bomber Command would raid the city again. During the night of the 3rd of October 1943, more than 540 aircraft bombed the city center. The last large-scale bombing of Kassel took place during the night of the 8th of March 1945, when 176 aircraft of the Royal Air Force Bomber Command were sent to the city. The US First Army captured Kassel on the 3rd of April 1945, where only 50,000 inhabitants remained versus 236,000 in 1939. Manufacturing restarted in the factory in 1948. The Kassel facility still exists, and it is one of the world's largest manufacturers of locomotives and trams. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and to make sure you don't miss my future work, please make sure you are subscribed to my channel and press the bell notification button. Thank you, and see you in the next video.